Especially after each terrorist attack, you have in French words they say pas d'amalgame, which means no, don't confuse, this is not Islam, you don't have to speak.
Well, hey everybody, here's a special interview with a very massive guy here. This guy here is a very well-known YouTuber in France, a political commentator called Tepa. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm a French YouTuber. I can define myself like that. My French site is patriote.info, which means, in fact, I'm a patriotic man, you know.
A patriotic black Frenchman.
Yes, absolutely.
I had a small talk with a friend of mine, Martin Sander, from the Terrorism movement in Germany and Austria, and he was in Paris at Saint-Denis, and it was so confusing that I wanted to come to France myself, especially to Paris, to check it out, and I wanted to find somebody to talk with. Now, you were inevitable. It was not possible to kind of come around you because you're so present, and I wanted to have you for this first interview because it is always a question of identity, you know. For me being as an East European Slav, that is completely cleared out. Who I am, who my people are, and how the situation looks about this, but France is completely confusing for me. I don't understand it really, to be honest, you know, and as far as I'm informed, you are a libertarian, more of a right-wing commentator, if you could say so, right?
Yes.
Especially by you being partly from a migrant family. Your mom is French, your father is...
my father is white and my mother is from Africa.
Alright, so that is something we don't really see in Eastern Europe that much.
Yeah,
you know.
That's right.
Okay, in Western Europe more. How do you view yourself? I mean, you yourself as a Frenchman.
Yes,
100%.
as a French, because France is it's a civilian nation. It's a civic nation. That's the country who invents this concept, in fact, of civic nation. So normally, everybody can be French without being white or black, and French, they don't even ask themselves this question about this thing. For them, you can be French if you have the French culture, if you're, it's better to be Catholic or Christian,
yes.
But in fact, you can be French, even if you're black, especially French has a long colonial history, so we have some part of French which are not in Europe, especially the French Indies, the Guyana, the New Caledonia, etc. So the French admit the fact that they could have French who are not white. But in 2018, now it's different. All the people come from Africa, but by millions, thousands and thousands of people every day. And it's incredible because now in Paris, you got some parts, you can't find a white man. And those people who are coming, they don't want to assimilate themselves. Why they do that? If you come there, you got all black people there, they come from Africa, they don't speak French. So why they gonna assimilate? They don't assimilate themselves. They begin to hate French people and to say they are proud to their culture and they want to force the people by their culture. And this is a big conflict is to come in France because the people realize the situation. We got 40 years of socialism, I would say, but mental socialism, especially in culture, because those socialists explained us for a long time, yes, it would be a richness, those people who come from abroad, etc.
This is what you call a cultural enrichment, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's why they say, yes, those people, it's like a greeting for France, you know, that to have people come from Africa, etc. But French realize this is all lies, because the situation is getting worse every day about attack terrorists, about insecurity, about rape. Every day you got a problem when you go to the hospital, in the public transport, etc. The situation is getting worse and worse, and the people realize, no, it could be the richness, these people. In fact, this is the worst, the chaos is to come here. And the white people, they don't react, no, they just go themselves further. Okay, we're gonna move, you know. That's why, in fact, in this type of suburb, it used to have white people there, but now there is no white people anymore, because they just fly away everyone, because they can't live there. Imagine you get a child, he will go to the school, he will be probably with another guy, a white guy, but about 30 pupils, it would be 2 white people for 28 extra European people. It's crazy. It's
very hard, I guess, to imagine this if you're a continental European or if you are Eastern European. I mean, if you're like from Poland or from Czech Republic, you are going to have some trouble imagining the situation here. I arrived to Paris a few days ago and I was seriously surprised about the demographic structure of Paris, because my impression was you got like 1/3 blacks, 1/3 Arabs and 1/3 white people. Now from these 1/3 white people, the half of them are basically tourists.
Yes.
So that leaves us with a demographic situation that is nothing what I would consider European in the wider sense even. Do you have any statistics on this? Are there any official statistics?
In France, you can't talk about it. You have no statistic about it, and they just lie about it. Because, for example, they say there is only 4 million Muslims in France. But they said it for 20 years now, and they say, no, man, no way, there is a lot of more. And you can't talk about it, because if you talk about ethnic statistic, yes, how many blacks, how many Arabs, no way, man, this is racist. Because we have to know that most of French political leaders, especially at the left, they say for years, come on to all these people. Even we have some French leader who said, for example, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, which is really famous, he said, me, I don't feel good, there is only white around me. I have to see black people. You have Anne Lauvergeon, which was the headmaster of Areva, and she said, yes, we're gonna hire people, but not white male. Why she says that? Imagine 2 seconds she has said, yes, we're gonna hire people, but not black men. It would be scandal, etc. But no white men. And this is good. Nobody tell nothing, you know. It's for example, in France, you have students at the university. They organize meeting where white are prohibited. It's crazy. I tell you, white are prohibited in France. When some of they go to the French media and they say, yeah, it's normal because we have to be together because the people will understand better. It's are you crazy? Just imagine I organize a meeting and say no black people. It could be scandal. I will be with the cops. Sure, they're gonna live here and take me direct to the tribunal.
I mean, this is absolutely spectacular. So there is no sense of Europeans,
because
so
the original people in France, they don't think them as a race. They don't think them as ethnical.
Rather as a nation, like a civic nation.
So a civil nation, yes, a civil nation. So you come here, if you have grown here, you could be French, for French, no problem. Even if your name is not really French, etc., it's not a problem.
Yeah.
But now the situation is different, really different. Moreover, I have to say, you know, for example, 30 years ago, when a stranger comes to France, his children were born in France, he has to take a French name. That was the law. But now, you don't have it anymore because no, people has to keep their culture. But France used to say, you know, to assimilate, but by the law. Because, for example, if you were a stranger, you can call have a stranger name for the first name, of course, not your full name, but your first name. You have to choose a French name. And
well, this is horrifying because that means that by law you are forced to give up your former culture. Then all of a sudden that is inhumane. Everybody has its heritage. Everybody has somewhere where he's coming from.
But that was the way to integrate the people, to assimilate them,
to force them. All right, now you're French, or you're going to go out. Obviously, after a generation or two, you are going to accept this civic national identity of France, definitely. But as you said, now there is such an overflow of migrants from Africa, and seriously, you can't imagine what I'm talking about, what we are here talking about without really being in Paris for a day or two, please do that for a short period of time or something like that. You know, book a ticket or Ryanair or something like that, just land, spend a day in Paris and then fly back and tell all of your friends about what you have seen. Because now the white population should be the one to integrate, because they are affecting the minority. I mean, obviously you don't have no statistics about it.
No,
Okay,
no.
so that's a bad idea to start off with.
When you see it, you say, where are the whites? Especially in big city.
Yeah.
When you go to the campaign, it's quite different. But in big city, Paris, Lille, Lyon, Strasbourg, Toulouse, Bordeaux, is the same.
What is going to happen because of that? I mean, we do know that if you invite the third world to your country will turn to the third world, because it's always obviously about humans, it's not about borders.
Yes, absolutely. That's why it's going on in Paris. When you go to La Chapelle, have you ever been there? La Chapelle?
I'm not sure, I've been around the whole city lately.
Okay,
but
if we have time, let's go there. I will show you what happened in the Paris. And the name La Chapelle is quite significant because it's mean church, you know. And we'll get there.
Oh my god, I even know it's a very renowned historical site.
Yes, it's a very symbolic place. And when you get there, now you get migrants everywhere in the street. I will show you, it's crazy. And
this is going to be good.
You know what the left-wing leader says about it? For example, the mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, and all our staff say, oh, this is because, you know, the pavement are too little. We have to have bigger pavement. That's why the woman can go out in this district, because the woman will demonstrate, because they say we can go out, we can go just shopping, because there is a full of men all over the street and they can get there. And it's incredible. And they say, yes, this is because of the pavement, because we have to go to have bigger pavement.
Let me get this straight. So there was trouble for women being there,
yes,
because it's kind of a rapey neighborhood.
Yes, exactly.
Slightly, let's put it in a nice way. What is the main demographic there?
Oh, the most of people there is really mixed, because in this area, especially, you got white people, but even black people, Arab people, and the girl who organized the demonstration was black. She's from the French Indies, and the people who insulted her and said, yeah, she's a racist, they were white. I tell you, it's crazy thing. It's crazy.
I see. Seriously, you know, I've been following all of this discussion going on in the US about blaming white people for everything,
yeah,
you know, and seriously, slowly, I kind of do get why, because this kind of a behavior is completely mental, and it is only white Europeans doing this. I mean, what kind of a mental disease is this?
Yes, no, it's crazy, because you know, in the Western country, they feel guilty for their history, because we know that France, England, Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, they got colony abroad. And so now they feel guilty because they say, yeah, we colonized the world, oh yeah, slavery. But it's crazy, because slavery, it's only 300 years in the history of Europe. Instead of slavery, it's 1,400 years from Muslim countries. So why do you feel guilty? And moreover, the European country, especially France, they abolished slavery, and they abolish slavery everywhere they go, and they force the Muslims to abolish slavery as well. So why do you feel guilty for that? It's crazy. And because, you know, for example, in history in France, when I was a kid, fortunately, I learned French history. But now, those who go to the school, they only learn the bad French history. They learn about colonization, about slavery, and about what we call the collaboration during the World War II.
Yes.
Yes, between Pétain and Hitler. That's only that for them French are busted. French, oh yeah, oh French, I hate French. French, they're only slavers. They only they like to collaborate with Nazi, and they colonize the world. And in fact, it's totally crazy. And because of the history, they have a big argue to say, yes, we colonize you now. Now we are here. As you have to feel guilty because you're white. You colonize me, so now I can colonize you.
But wait a second, does that apply? Let's say I come next week to France, move here, then 2 weeks later I have a French citizenship, and so then I'm kind of a European French. Am I guilty also then of slavery? By being a half Serbian, half Croatian dude.
Yes, exactly. Because just you're white. That's sufficient for them. You say you white? Oh yes, because they put all the white in the same way. They say yeah, they all slavery, all colonized. Even if you come from Serbia never colonized Africa. I don't know that, but
I don't even know if there was any Serbian dude ever in Africa actually.
So, but when they're gonna see you, they say, "Oh no, you're right. You colonized me. You were a slavery." But say again, that was a slavery.
So I understand it correctly. So there is no sense of identity at all coming out of French people, like the original French people. So that means that they viewing themselves as individuals, I assume, first and foremost. So there is no movement and there is no conscience for the whites here that are being less and less.
Yeah, and it's going crazy because you have the feminism who say to the girl to don't have children. So the white don't have children.
Yes.
In comparison, the black and the Arab have many children. So if you imagine in 20 years, of course, black and Arab will be the majority, against the white. It's clear.
Well, I see that obviously that there is happening already. That the majority is definitely not the original French ethnic group. But what I meant was there is no counter movement. Like there is nobody who is going to say openly or even covertly, we have to defend us.
There is some guys. I received some in here, but it's really hard because when you choose that way, you choose the problem. Problem with the people, problem with justice, problem, it's hard. For example, we have one guy really famous here in French, it's called Boris Lelay. He has a lot of problem because he choose exactly to defend France and talk about this racial problem, but now he lives in Japan. Because if you come to France, he would be arrested immediately. In France it's crazy because France, one of the subjects of France they don't want hurt about it. It's when you talk about ethnical problem. It's really hard to speak about this in France. For young people, for the new generation coming, especially from white, but other ethnic as well, they can speak more freely about this, I think. In the youth. But for the people older, it's really complicated.
You're very vocal about these topics. I mean, your YouTube channel is large. You got like almost 70,000 subscribers.
Yes,
you got hundreds of videos. Everything is in French, so there is no way for me to understand all of this. But a friend of mine did translate a few passages, which are very spicy. I mean, if you are from France, you're gonna know this guy either way. But subscribe to his channel and take a look at his videos. Do you encounter some, let's say, difficulties?
Yes, I got some. I was sued for one of my videos because I interviewed one of the guy that's a French hate, who's called Robert Forisson, and of course I'm in justice for that. But most of the time, I think I keep the good word, to be in the line.
Yeah.
But YouTube tried to kick me, etc. But
that's normal.
That's normal. YouTube, I see you got problems with YouTube as well.
Yeah, our channel got deleted too once, got reinstated. You're a public person, and you're also a human who is going out to buy groceries. You've been recognized, I guess.
Yes, often.
How does this go then?
Most of the time, fortunately, it's okay. Because the people want to speak, even if they are not agree with me, just speak. But sometimes, with some people, they are not agree. It could be not the fight, but we're near the fight, and it's quite. There is a lot of tension, And especially when you talk about Islam in France, one of the subjects you don't have to talk is Islam. It's maybe worse than Zionism. Zionism, you don't have to talk it in the mainstream media. If you talk about Zionism in the mainstream media, you will be kicked out immediately. But if you talk about Islam, you will have problem, of course, because the Muslims in France are a community we don't accept, but it's the same everywhere, we don't accept a criticism of their the religion. You can't criticize their religion, especially after each terrorist attack. You have in French words they say pas d'amalgame, which means no, don't confuse. This is not Islam. You don't have to speak about it. And after every terrorist attack, this is the same. People have the candle and the thing. Oh yes, please. This is.
What was that? Je suis Charlie or something?
Charlie, yeah, je suis Charlie. For us, it's
global
a joke.
mania. Yeah, it is a global joke because meanwhile people are not even changing their Facebook avatars because it's so frequent. Like. Je suis Cologne, je suis... Oh, Jesus Christ, you know.
For us, je suis Charlie, it's been you're a big...
Let's just program some script that is going to change in my avatars for me because I don't need to do it anymore. Tell me, in the last month, like this is 2018 and this is now the 4th month, let's take the 3rd month, March. How many cases of terrorist attacks have been in France? Just like 1 month.
In 1 month, in this month, I think 2 or 3. I can't count.
You don't even know.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Oh, what am I laughing about?
You know, I was speaking with a friend of mine, and I told him, you know, worst thing in this thing of terrorist attack every month, every week, is that you become to be used about it, and it's you know, when you heard, oh, there was a terrorist attack. It doesn't shock you anymore. You say, oh, okay, another one. Oh,
yeah, that pretty much is true. Yes, the threshold is kind of really down.
And in France, you know, in France, it's crazy because there is a terrorist attack they talk about in the mainstream media, but there is some terrorist attack that they don't talk about, and we know that because. You know, it's like they hide the real situation. They don't want to the people know what happened really. So that's why they don't accept that someone go to the mainstream media and talk like that and explain to people what happened. There is only one guy in France who speaks like that in the mainstream media, but he's hated because he's Jew. His name is Eric Zemmour. He talk about this situation, but even in the right-wing party or in the, as we say, in the dissidents in France, they say no because he's a Jew, he's playing for Israel. In fact, crazy. And this guy is the only guy who speak about this. Is correct that maybe because he's Jews they don't want to kick him out, but in fact he speak about good thing. He speak about the real situation of this country that has been taken over by African, and if tomorrow there is more African than a white original French people, it won't be France anymore. It will be another thing, another country, but it won't be France. You have to be realistic about it. And even if I'm half blood, white and black, I'm not. I prefer France. I told him, France give me everything, so I defend France. And the fact is that France, originally, it's a white country. It's for me, it's just an evidence, just
yes,
obvious, just obvious. But even if French history is different from the other European country, because France has a big empire in Africa, in South America, etc. But France has always been like that. Imagine in the 17th century when France was in America, because France was in America before the English. You know that the Indian there, they could become French just if they convert to Catholicism.
Oh, that's a very easy one.
Yes, if they become Catholic, they could be French. And imagine France, when France get there, the action of France there, because most of the people know that, was to create an Indian nation. And it exists. People of Canada, they know that because in Montreal you can see this. This is the big chart of the Indian nation. In fact, France say yes. Indian, you have to gather yourself and do a nation. That's in fact the real message of French colonization. That's why France, they don't have to be ashamed of the colonization, because the French colonization was a really civilized colonization. This is not like the English, because we have to understand that English is different. The English, they have the sense of ethnic nation. So
not anymore.
Not anymore, and of course not anymore. But they used to be like that. That's why when they came to America, they say yes, we have to make the white come here and create a white state. But for French, no. And I'm sure that if the French had stayed the master in America, we won't have the United States like we know, but more a mix with the Indian culture and the European culture. I'm sure of that.
Yes, let us then get to the inevitable point of identity. You said there is two ways to view a French person, ethnically and culturally.
Yeah.
And the French people have obviously made a decision that it should be just a civic nationalist thing.
Yeah.
Now, reality looks like that was not maybe the best idea to have.
Exactly.
Now, if we can view it historically, what is your view on that? I mean, because you view yourself as a French because you are part French,
yes.
But I saw that you had on your program here on the podcast also Arabs. I think that they were not even born in France, partially. And
it depends. It depends.
but they still identified as French. How do you view that? Do you accept these guys to be French?
But it depends on the guy. In fact, that's a big problem, because France invented the nation, the concept of civic nation. But that was in time that the ethnical problem wasn't a problem. But now, the ethnical question is a problem. So they have to rethink about it and say, okay, we have to change because the situation changed. And the France, for the French, unfortunately, they don't see that. They just say, no, oh, this is the future. Oh yes, especially at the left, like everywhere. And I saw on your video, it was really funny to see all the SGW, because we got the same here in France now, and those people are crazy.
Oh yes,
really,
yes.
They are really fucked up in their minds.
Yeah.
You know, these left wings are really, it's a mental disease. It's completely crazy.
It is something that the new generations after this are going to have their fun with this, analyzing what went on, and I'm sure that what is happening here is going to be possibly the last iteration of something like this, because it's well protocoled, it's well documented. So the future generations of any country everywhere are going to have the access to the data. What happens if you kind of mix? If you mix cultures. I mean, it's also a fact of biology that if you have different races, they have different behavioral patterns. And these behavioral patterns, when they compile, then you have something that we call culture, obviously.
Of course.
So this is why you have such distinctive cultures, like let's say the Japanese to the original French or German up to the Nigerian. There are different personality traits, there are different ways to behave, and the people sculpt their culture by that. It is totally natural for Japanese to have a Japanese culture. Now I can just imagine that what the leftist type would say, that you can actually exchange the humans, like you put somebody from Africa to Europe by the act of crossing a border, the humanity is going to evolve magically. So I always have this idea, what would happen if you just, let's say, had such a culture like the Afghan culture, like Afghanistan and Japan, and you just switch the populations all of a sudden. I think in 2 generations, obviously Afghanistan is going to look like Japan, and Japan is going to look like Afghanistan. That is a completely normal process.
Normal process. That's what happened in Paris. When you go to Stalingrad and you see there is a lot of Somalians there, now this place looks like Mogadishu. I told you.
With the same crime rate, I guess.
Yes, yes, in Paris, and they don't talk about it, but the crime rate is growing up fastly. Look what happened in Calais. You know the situation there. Calais is just in front of Dover from England. A lot of migrants want to go to England, so they stop at Calais. And what happened? The English are really smart. What they do, they say, yes, we have a treaty with France, and in fact, we run your borders for English, and we stop all the Africans. French has the rule to stop all the African, and the English pay for that. The English prefer pay for that. They say, okay, we pay France, no problem, they pay, but we do the job for them, and that's why we have Calais. And Calais, all the people from all Europe came here, and they want to go to England, so they attack all the trucks, and there is dead, especially driver from Eastern, from Poland, from Lithuania, etc. And you know, they just dead because those guys, what they do, they took a big tree and they put it on the highway like that to stop the truck. It's, you know, it's completely crazy,
but it works.
It works, yeah. But the state doesn't know how to do. The French authorities say, what can we do?
I mean, the borders are there so that you can defend an invasion, and you got the army to defend your borders. And if you come over the borders, obviously...
But in the Eastern country, you don't have the same mentality as in the Western country. You have the sense of defend yourself, and not even, I tell you, the white people there, they are more viral, they are more, you know, don't fuck with me. In the Western country say, okay, I don't fuck with you. No, it's really different. And I see the white from the Eastern country are really different. They got their cultures, they defend their cultures, they are proud to be themselves, and they don't feel guilty of anything. Why? They have guilty of what? No.
This feeling of guilt, you're referring to that like more than once. So this is like one of the main drivers for everything.
Yes. In France especially, you know, the people are grown up with this guilty, and so they are grown up to, they learn to hate France. Since the childhood, when you go to the school, you hate France. After you hate France, everything is come from France is bad. God. France is bad. The guy who called me, it was a guy who wrote a book, and in his book he describes this phenomenon. Really, his name is Adrien Abosi. He explained why the France it's against itself. There is two sort of force who fight in France, the France and the anti-France. And anti-France, of course, is winning for a time, but now France, unfortunately, is wake up, you know, and there is some friends who say, no, stop, we have to stop this shit right now, because this is our future, this is our country, we love it, and we don't want to make it in that way, you know, because, and the left are really, but not only, but they got a real responsibility in that, real responsibility.
Yes. What is with the white population here that are affluent, who got some cash on the side? Because I can tell you, like, what I know from Germany, from Sweden, from even Norway and some other places, people are leaving in droves to the US or to Canada, or especially New Zealand or Australia. These are qualified people. These are people with brains, these are people with cash, these are people with connections who for some reason don't see the possibility to reach anything here anymore. I mean, if we kind of go after the intelligence factor, then it's over.
Yes, and there is the same phenomenon in France. They don't talk about it, but most of our elites, they are going abroad. After they study, they just go in the countries you said, in Canada, in US, in Australia, but they don't stay in France, of course. And that's why our social system, which is really generous with the people, because imagine in France...
Not even joking, if you have, what is it called, autism, you get like up to 800 euros a month for having this condition. Oh my god, I was like thinking to just get some Serbian doctor to give me that paper that I've got the autism to get cash here.
It's crazy.
Which I'm totally going to do, by the way.
And imagine for the refugees, that's why the people are going crazy. Refugees will come here. When you go to the Office Français d'Immigration, they say, okay, he just give his name, etc. And at the moment that he give his name, he has an allocation of 500 euros.
A flat, you say, for 500?
Yes, they could find him a flat.
Somewhere.
He has the public transport free. He has all the medical free. Medical, it means that you can go to a doctor, but even if you're hospitalized, even if you are anything, it's free for you. You got a card and it's free. And even if you work, imagine a French worker, you don't have the same right.
That means
you have to pay, for that.
All right, well, that's completely logical. That is a very obvious monetary choice that you are going to do. I mean, that means that being in France kicks ass. I mean, why is it? Let's put it differently. I'm kind of really thinking about this autism thing, because it's could be like easy money. How about this? I arrive to France. I'm not saying that I'm gonna do it, but potentially I could. I'm just gonna come here and say that I am from. It has to be a special country where I come from, right? I can't be from Europe.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to be from Morocco. No, they're speaking French. Something where you don't need to speak French.
It's Ethiopian, Somali. They don't speak French.
All right, okay. So I'm gonna be a white Somali. Good. So I arrive. Then I just have to say that I arrived. I go to the police station or what, and I say like, hey, it's me, my name is something. I don't have an ID on me.
No, yes, you got nothing.
So I just kind of say some name, all right? So then I get cash, right? So first of all, I get a flat. This flat, I can rent out over Airbnb, I assume, for much money. That's very good. Then I get like, how much money?
500 approximately.
500 per month. Yeah, could be worse. Then I got autism, so that's like 1,300.
Yeah, but for Somalian, it's 5 months of work there. Imagine.
And that means that after that, I got the bank account, all the cash is coming to my bank account. I could take a bus back to Serbia and just get the cash back, right? I mean, does this work? Is this possible?
It's possible. That's what the people from Romania do. Because, people from Romania, we call it Rome here. But in fact, they are not real Romanian. In fact, they are what we call it gypsy. They're more like gypsy. And those people, they come here in France because it's Europe. But France, here it used to have village everywhere from those guys, because you wake up one morning and you got a village, during the night. They should just be did like that. It's crazy. And those guys, France, as a policy, they say, okay, we give you money to get out from France. But it's crazy because we give them money. But 3 months after they get back here and say, okay, give me again the money and I get back to my country. It's crazy. I see a very big business opportunity here. Yeah. This I have to research this. This is incredible. So that means that, do I get money if I have more sicknesses than just autism? Oh yes, maybe. Oh yes, sure.
So I can combine that also. I mean, I can get like 5,000 or 6,000 euro, right?
You know what happened in Europe is completely crazy. For example, if you say I'm a minor, so you're on the less.
Yeah, I'm totally a minor.
Yes, you could
look at me.
Imagine you can look like a minor because we saw it was 1 month ago on the mainstream media. They want to kick out these minors. He live in a family, and we saw the minors. Everybody was laughing. The guy looked older than me, and he said he was minors. And as the law, you can't check if it's a real minor, because in the law, first they say, okay, when someone come and he say he's a minor, we're gonna take an DNA sample to know if he's a real minor or not. We have the technology to do that. And the European Commission say, no, France, why would you do that? It's discrimination. You don't have the right to do that. It's crazy. So you can come and say, yo, look at me, I'm 17-year-old, please, France. Okay. Imagine the government is preparing a new law in France. It's absolutely crazy. Listen to that. They're gonna give responsibilities to former prisoners. Imagine, you're a prisoner, and instead of going to jail, they say we're gonna give you some work to do, and you have to do this instead of going to jail. And do you know what type of work they're gonna give them?
There we go.
To moderate on the web. This means that in France will be moderate by former prisoners who hate us. Most of them are Muslims. We know that because this is the only ethnical statistic we have in the jail.
The religion?
The religion, yes.
But not ethnicity?
Not the ethnical, but we have the religion in the jail. And what we know is that in France there is more than 70% of Muslim people in jail.
Spectacular.
Spectacular. So those people now are gonna moderate the wave. And who's they gonna moderate? They're gonna moderate the nationalists, the patriots, of course.
Wait a second, moderating means that there is a state program in France?
Yes.
Like a censorship program?
Yeah, a censorship program. They call it the anti-fake news law. That's Macron, what Macron said. And yes, he wants to moderate, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Because they want to shut, you know, the web back up, because they know that all what we are doing now, it's a kind of war for me. They know that we are conquering the mind of the people, and they want to stop it.
Yeah, by logic and evidence and all of these things.
And to stop it, they're gonna use the law, you know, to stop
How does this work? So basically, you got like these. I assume that's some kind of a web-based system, and then you are a moderator.
Yeah.
So then you just browse the web, right?
Yes.
But
you will do it for free instead of going to jail, and they're gonna have center, you know, and they're gonna moderate for you, because the state want to moderate us on the web. The state, it's, you know.
But what does that mean? I mean, that means they go on Facebook, they go on Twitter,
exactly.
And if they see,
exactly. And if they see something they don't like, they can intervene. Yeah.
So like Facebook has given them access.
Yes, of course. Maybe look, Mark Zuckerberg is now talking with the US Congress because they accuse him to have give 50 million names of Trump supporters, and that's why Trump.
That you mean?
So
okay, yeah.
And so I think Facebook gonna work directly with the state. Is gonna be like that. Imagine France on Twitter is the country that where the half request of censor a tweet is coming from France in the world.
Well, very good.
So
performance.
you got a statistic that imagine in France they want to make all the resistance shut up. You know, they don't want us to speak, you know, on the web, etc. And that's the same in Germany, because in Germany I know there is a law that yes, if there is a request, you have 1 day to do this, and if you do this is million of extra.
Yeah.
So immediately everyone in Germany it's coming harder, because in Germany it's the same problem. Germans are waking up and they say no, and we have to stop this immigration. They say okay, we're gonna stop those guys, we're gonna make them shut up.
Let's project like in 5 years time. What is it going to happen, especially in France, in 5 years time? Let's say, is Marine Le Pen going to have any influence at all?
I don't know if she is going to be the good leader, because as she failed, you know, in this election, and particularly politically she failed because she didn't talk really about immigration. She's talked about something important for me, is to leave out the European Union. I think France has to leave out the European Union, the Frexit. So we don't have the choice, even if we want to solve the migration problem, because now we have to know that as we are in the European Union, you can do what you want with immigration law. We saw it with what happened in Hungary and Poland. They say you have to take migrants, etc. So European Union is here to organize this invasion. So we have to leave out union. This is really, really important. But in fact, even if we have that way, we have to leave the union, we have to stop migration. This is the two main points the French policy has to do. But in the 5 years, I know that more and more people will be conscious of the situation. But in fact, in France, you know, it could be a really big bomb here, because France is like Yugoslavia, Lebanon, and South Africa. This is the three at the same time. You know, because we got ethnical problem, religion problem, etc. It's crazy. And you know, one guy really known in France, his name is Laurent Oberton. He's a writer. He wrote a book which called Guerilla, and in this book he described the situation that could be in one day in France, and the country could be in a civil war. I'll tell you, this book is so real, because 6 months ago we live a situation like that with what we call the Theo case. I don't know if you heard talking about this abroad. It's a crazy story. A man, black man, in the suburb just near here, he said, I was raped by the police. All the mainstream media, they just repeat that, big title, the headlines everywhere was like that. Yes, policeman rape a young man in the suburb. The guy, first of all, he came to the media. He tells his story. Oh yes, I was raped by the policeman. Just 2 hours after this fact, all the mainstream media, yes, policeman rape. Immediately, because we know that in France, you get riots everywhere. All the black and Arab came in the street and they just crash everything, etc. It's during 4 days. And now, we heard the truth about this story. It's crazy because the guy, first of all, he say, yes, I just get out of my house and some policemen say, hey, come on nigger, and just beat me. When I heard the story, I said, it's impossible. This is not France. They never do that. Even the cops, they never do that. I'm saying he's lying. And now we know he's lying because we saw the video. And in fact, what happened? The policemen were there controlling some guys. These guys, he came and he just beat one of the policemen. And that's why, they take him. And that is a big tall guy because he's 1 meter 90. But it's a big guy. So they had to beat him, But in fact, he's totally guilty. And 2 days after the guy was beaten, he said he was beaten, the French president go to the hospital to see him.
Of course it is.
It's crazy. He make a photo and he say, yeah, I know him. I know it. He tells the truth. Because when I say that, I say, with that guy, you're gonna have riots. And that's right. The evening you have riot everywhere. Imagine that 1 month before this case, we have another case where 2 policemen were burned in their car. Just because, burned in the car because they were in Grigny, in the suburb of Paris. And imagine the situation, it's crazy. The policemen were in the car to watch out a camera because each time they put the camera is destroyed by the youth. So they have to put some policemen to watch out a simple camera. And the guy, as they are not, happy of this situation, they just came and they burned the car. The 2 policemen were burned and they didn't use a weapon. And we don't understand why. We say, you get a weapon. But even the cops, they are so afraid to be racist. They say, no, we prefer to be shot than use my weapon. It's crazy. In France, just yesterday, you got 3 militaries in Paris. There was a girl. She was attacked by a migrant. The 3 guys saw that. They came and they beat the guy. Imagine, there was a 4 in prison. The guy who beat the girl and the 3 militaries. Because the judge say, yes, but they don't have to beat the assault. It's crazy. The guy just defended the girl. And now they're in jail. 3 militaries. That's why I told you about the mental disease, that it's crazy. And it's in the justice, in the police, etc. All the time, they say, white are the bad guys and the non-white are the good guys. But what is this logic?
There was also an elderly Jewish lady that was like 1 week ago that also got burned.
Yes, in the same week. Yes.
Yeah, no,
she was burned.
This is Paris, the city of love, the city of baguettes, the city of burning people.
For me, I think they have to be conscious of the situation. That's what I do in my work. And my proposal is to stay safe. We have to, what we call it, remigration. Remigration is an inverse movement and the migration is going back, And for that, I know that the people won't live like that. That's why I'm talking to the nationalists and say, we have to pay for that, even if we have to pay for that. But peaceful is expensive, unfortunately.
Yes, that is true.
And I tell to the nationalists, even if you pay, it's better. If you pay someone to get out, and he won't be able to come back, of course, because you have to close your borders, and it's impossible in European Union, because, you know, if you want to do that policy, you have to take some other measures, and you have to take your borders. For example, you have to kick out all the illegal people. If you do that, you have a lot of them that will...
well, that's a work for a generation.
Yes, yes. We need a generation to do that. Maybe a generation to admit the process, but it's possible. It's possible, and most of the French are thinking of that. And I can tell you, the things are going faster now. We know that. For example, me, I was in a political party. We want to be out of the union. It was in 2009. More than 8 years later. The last French president election, they talk about leaving the EU, because just imagine 5 years ago, nobody talk about that. It was a taboo if you talk about that. When you say someone 5 years ago in 2010, you say yes, France has to leave out the European Union. You're crazy? Are you mad? What? But no, it's normal. Everyone talk about it. So it could be the same for immigration. It could be now a subject that are you crazy? It's impossible. But in 5 years, no, it's possible. We can do that, and if we don't do that, I think we're gonna have bad days, really bad days, really bad days. Yeah. My situation, it's like a peaceful, in fact, solution. You break with someone, but break in a good way. Okay, we stay friends, we can break. Okay, we don't leave anymore. Okay, I can help you to get there. But if we don't do that, we're gonna have bad days, especially in France. It's gonna be the civil war or a bloodbath, some bloodshed, something really bad, for sure.
Yeah, I think that the situation is comparable to that in South Africa, where European whites or the Boer are being executed. It's a terrifying thing. The mainstream media doesn't bring that on at all, especially also in the Western media especially. You are not going to hear anything much about France except there are like 700 cars burning down somewhere in the suburbs. But then again, it's just youth, you know, having fun. I mean, who wasn't burning cars? He was a kid. Like, it's a completely normal thing, isn't it? It's terrifying. It's a preparation for war, and it doesn't look good. Well, you want to show me this place? What is it called again? It's not far away from here.
We could go to La Chapelle.
La Chapelle sounds beautiful.
Yes, La Chapelle sounds beautiful, and I think we'll take some pictures that the world has to see, because we never see it on French film media, and you know, I tell you, you have to see that.
This is going to be spectacular. Yeah, we're going to link to your social media profiles down below. Get the word out there, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Mwah!